another one of these sort of surprising series this season. Last Exile, fam, the Silver Wing. Our return to the Last Exile universe after a decade, which is kind of crazy. What surprised me about this one, and I've watched about half of the original Last Exile, so I was very interested in this one. A lot of fan service, and I mean the first series had almost no fan service, so the fact that there's some here kind of surprised me.
Maybe they're cashing in, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Gonzo, you know, they go back and forth. I don't know.
I don't know. Gonzo's pretty fan servicey. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, it was just odd because the first season had none.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they would do that on the second season. Sorry, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, me or him?
I got confused.
I was just going to say cash grab, because I know Gonzo usually is always in that rough spot for most anime companies that they need to sometimes do something to earn a little bit more cash.
Good know.
Yeah, okay. That's all I have to say, because I haven't watched it technically.
So it's odd because in a lot of ways they're kind of recycling a lot of the stuff in the original Last Exile in terms of plot and so forth, but the characters are very different. And I like the fact they have a female main character. That's awesome, and a very strong one. And it has a relaxed tone, the same kind of relaxed tone the original Last Exile had, at least as the first episode. I mean, the tension certainly ratcheted up over the course of the original series, so I'm sure that will happen. But this feels a little bit more like they're kind of taking their time and letting the story, you know, get out there.
Yeah. I watched the first episode and the second episode, I think. I stopped after that, if any more episodes came out since then, because I have never seen Last Exile before. So I went back, and I'm now on episode 20 of Last Exile.
Nice.
But I have a very embarrassing admission. When I watched the first episode of Fam, I thought Dio was cute. Dio, for those of you who don't know, is a guy.
It's a guy's name.
Although I think I was looking into it, I believe this is not the same Dio.
Oh, really?
I think cause I was looking into it, and they have a slightly different spelling on like the last name. Because it is the same voice actor, but it looks like there's some difference. So I'm not sure if it's the actual same character.
I was reading the Wikipedia, which I know isn't always reliable, but it said in Fam he returns as someone helping the new crew.
Okay.
So it might be the same one, it might not.
Yeah.
But I definitely did like the first few episodes, obviously, because it convinced me to go back and watch the first one. So hopefully once I finish the first one, I'll continue this one and have a more solid opinion.
Yeah. Fortunately, you don't need to, at least from what I've seen so far, you don't need to have seen the original Last Exile to understand this one. It's a completely new plot. But, you know, the original series, we can assume, is going to work into, you know, the second season in some way. So having seen the first season will certainly help.
Yeah, like the Exile makes an appearance very early on.
Ooh, gotcha. Okay.
Whereas the first season it takes forever and just to explain it and bring it out. So I definitely want to get a little bit of background before I watch this.
Definitely. All right, moving on to Ungo, the odd detective series of this season.
That boy girl creeps me out.
This is a really, really, really good show. I love it.
Interesting. So, go ahead, Dan.
Okay, I'll explain the plot. So basically, it's Japan after basically massive wars broken out. We don't know how the other state of the world is, but Japan is basically, it's not Mad Max apocalypse. It's like cities are broken down, people are in lines for you know, or people are in bread lines, kind of broken down. And basically, so far, the only kind of enforcement we have is this one kind of professor guy who basically can can solve a case from just staying in his own house. Like he can have cameras everywhere and see, like it's not like he sees the crime, but like he can like use visual evidence from the cameras that he has to deduct a correct answer. And he's basically a complete government official, and they take his word on it from everything. However, there's also another detective called the Defeated Detective. I can't remember his name right now. And basically, he's, a detective for hire, very much one of those guys. And he's known as a Defeated Detective because he's always defeated by the other, more advanced detectives. However, we find out that actually
spoiler?
I'm trying to see if it is a spoiler, because really that's the whole plot. I don't know if it is.
I was watching the first episode and I didn't know that, and it was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, let's leave that out and just say that
okay,
like the characters are interesting, the animation's decent.
Yeah.
Let's just say that all is not to be as it seems that the government shows.
Right.
Also, the detective has this little boy with him at all times, and let's say the boy is not exactly normal.
That's a girl.
Also, he looks like I don't know, boy, girl. We know it evolves into a girl.
I went ahead and checked out the character bio. When he's in one form, he's a boy. When he's in the other form, he's a woman.
Okay.
He did evolve.
Right.
Yes. But yeah, it certainly is interesting how the government always hides it, because this guy's supposed to be always right. If he's not always right, then no one's gonna believe us anymore. So, they go to that's the trouble with the series. Got people watch first episode, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's worth at least a first episode watch to see if you're interested. It's a good detective series.
And
what you think?
One thing to point out to people who are interested, if they want a long, well thought out plot, you're not going to get one of those. It is a well thought out series, but it seems like it's going to be one-offs of 1 or 2 episodes each.
Mm-hmm. Well, except for the episode they are now looks like it's going to be a 2-parter.
Yeah, 2 parts. So yeah, 2 episodes, 1 episode, something like that.
Yeah,
you're not going to get you're probably not going to get an overarching plot.
Yeah. I was kind of impressed, to be honest. It felt kind of like Gosick. But my main problem was that the mystery that they presented was not solvable by the audience. They were throwing things at you, and it's like, oh, but if you had seen this thing, which was in the background at this moment, and connected with this other thing that happened 5 minutes later in the background, and this other thing that happened off screen, then you would know that this person had, and it was just kind of cheap.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, sometimes that's how detective shows are, though. You have to be very observant.
No, but the point, the problem is it wasn't just being observant, it was the fact that there were some clues that we just simply couldn't have known. And that frustrated me, especially it being a detective series. And the issue is, that's okay if there are other things to counterbalance that, if that's not really the point. But the fact that they spend so much time on the mystery, it seemed like it wanted to be a detective series, but it's revealing these clues that are like, well, we wouldn't have, known that or connected that. Interesting characters, but again, it's kind of, quiet detective and weird kid. And there just wasn't much there to really, pull me in. So we'll see. As a detective series, it certainly does what it needs to be that kind of thing. But it just, didn't work for me.
I don't know. Like the first episode, I actually did figure out the mystery ahead of time, because I realized, oh, this character is like this character, and I thought maybe that's a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe that's just me, but yeah.
Moving on to Gundam Age. Gundam Age, the new series from this season, and boy, do I have an opinion on this one. But we'll start with you guys. What did you think of Gundam Age?
Didn't watch it.
I watched it. Gundam Age, I had a very open opinion. I know a lot of hardcore Gundam fans kind of roll their eyes at, oh, they're doing SD Gundam again. And no, it's not SD Gundam, silly. This series, it's very well done. Actually, maybe it's just me, but if you kind of look at little details, like in the ending, for example, you see that the heroine of the series, that she may be in a way connected to the Zentradi family, maybe. Like,
Zentradi family?
obviously, this is in the future, I think.
Wait, what family?
Oh, sorry, Zabi, my bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or at least toward Shar's family line. Because if you see the ending, she's kind of wearing those uniforms.
Okay.
So maybe I'm just pulling on loose strings. It kind of looks that. What?
So let's talk about what Gundam Age is.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay. So this is the latest Gundam series. It's set in another alternate timeline, possibly, but there are some hints that it ties back to previous Gundam universes, particularly Universe of the Century, but there's no definite information on that yet in the series. And the main character is one of the nice things actually I liked is the fact that the main character actually is responsible for designing and building the Gundam.
Yeah, she's a mechanic.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, and I was impressed. I think that the thing that folks are stumbling on is that these are retro character designs. They're meant to look like 70s and 80s
like
style characters. Exactly.
They're very Tezuka.
They're very Tezuka.
Yeah. One thing I find strange about Gundam Age is I love the old guys in this show. I love them to death.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, old man. Old man, you kick ass. I love the old men. Yeah, this show is really good. Trying to think.
So
I don't know what to tell. This is like my first Gundam series I'm reviewing.
Nice. Yes, I mean, really you have to look past the character designs and not see those as childish. And when you look at the content, it's very serious. There's death, there's destruction, it's very dramatic. So
yeah. Actually, one thing to keep in mind is one thing I thought interesting as animation been going on. I think actually the same age as this, I think, but like make them look older.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Dan? You broke up for a second.
Oh, sorry there. When you see animations go on, they kind of make, the kids in, like, for example, Siamese Gundam, they all, like, the kids look like, like 5-year-olds, and, like, the adults or teenagers look like short adults is all they look like. But, like, honestly, now that the animation has gotten pretty well done, the main character of Gundam Age, I think he's actually the same age as Amuro, I think. But Amuro, I think, obviously looks older, though, from 70s animation.
Flit is 14, and
Amuro
is 15. Amuro, I think he was 15 as of Gundam, but yeah.
1 year age difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, don't think that like this is basically just a show where the kids of every Gundam series are now the pilots, because that's not the case. If you want a Gundam series, is exactly what you're looking for. You've got beam swords, you have beam rifles.
Yep.
The enemies so far are very mysterious, I think. I'm not sure. I don't think we know yet if whether they're even sentient or not.
Yeah, it's still very mysterious. I'm suspecting they're mobile suits, but we'll find out. They could be going the Macross Frontier route.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Actually, there's a lot of like gimmies from Macross Frontier in this series. Like the fact that like they're doing the star-crossed lover thing again with the kid, but except in the original mobile suit it was Char and Amuro with Shala is her name? Shala
in original mobile suit?
Yeah, original mobile suit.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about, but it'll come to me.
That girl, basically they're doing that, but instead of with 2 guys, they're now doing with 2 girls, and that's basically what Frontier did. Instead of well, kind of, except in Frontier it was like a regular girl and a singer girl. Now in Frontier it's 2 singer girls. So this one they seem to be doing that here, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see where they go with that.
Yeah.
Similarly, oh, you had more, Dan? Sorry.
Kind of, yeah. Third episode showed me one of the manliest characters ever who was over the age of 50.
Yep.
But Mr. Buzzard, you are manly, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just would not give up.
Yeah. Very impressive.
Oh, also the captain guy is really mysterious as well. Like, we have no idea what he's on about. Like, I'm sorry, but like 3 episodes that we've been watching, and there's so much to speculate about. It is crazy.
Yeah.
So don't think this is SD Gundam all over again. It is not. This is your grandfather's Gundam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm watching it. I'm enjoying it. Definitely a good one.
Yeah.
Another one. I'll be curious to see where they go on. Mirai Nikki, Future Diary. I was lucky enough to actually have seen or have read the manga before it came out. So shocking there. And I know they did an OVA adaptation, like a 1-episode or 2-episode OVA adaptation, and now they're doing a full-scale TV series. So what do you guys think?
Ooh,
Brad,
this one, I read maybe 6 chapters of the manga, and I can tell that it's following it very closely. The big plus sides to this one are the characters are fairly interesting. They're a little one-off, but they're pretty interesting. The plot is definitely what'll catch you. It's about characters who they write diaries, which are cell phone diaries, which are just records of their life. And based on that, the god of time, Deus Ex Machina, gives them the ability to see their own future in their diaries.
Mm-hmm.
And
their
create
own type of future, though. Their own type of future, which is the interesting thing.
Mm-hmm. And he creates a competition where if you eliminate the other of the 12 diary owners, you become the master of time. You basically become God. And so all these characters are fighting to basically kill each other using their diaries.
Mm-hmm.
And the plot definitely thickens very early on.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things about the show. It's jarring how quickly things move.
And this is going to be a hard one to talk about because there's a lot that's kind of revealed even in the first episode. That's kind of like, ooh, that is kind of spoiler because they're explicitly not telling you that until that point, halfway into the episode or whatever.
Well, I think it's fair to talk about like at least stuff that happens in the first episode, like with the girl. I think that's fair game.
I want to hold off on that a little bit. I'll put it this way: the girl is certainly an important plot element.
Yeah,
you could say she's attached to the main character.
Well, again, I don't want to get into that stuff, but it is definitely there's stuff there going on. There's more than it appears to begin with.
My biggest complaint about this show, and it's one of the complaints I had about, I'm forgetting the name of the other show, the one where blood becomes a weapon. Yes, Dead Man Wonderland. Dead Man Wonderland is, I do not like many of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a very hard time liking any of the characters.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away their exact characters because that's spoilerish, but I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny that you go into that because I can totally see where you're coming from that. But here's the problem I have with Dead Man Wonderland, is that the main character in Dead Man Wonderland he was a perfectly great guy, a perfectly nice kid. Main character Mirai Miki, I enjoy everything that happens to him. I know it sounds very sadistic, but like he acts where he's just so selfish. He just does not think of anyone else but himself. And it comes to find out that each diary is basically is fixed to that person's character. Like there's this one person who's like an escape artist, and she has the escape diary, and so on. And his diary is just about himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems very selfish the whole time. Like, I was gonna avoid that fight. He's very to himself. He doesn't care about anyone else. He's very solo, and like in the first episode, he couldn't protect himself, and it's actually this girl who has to protect him. and it's funny that the way that they're connected. So it's like he doesn't have much of a choice, and I don't know, just I like.
No, go ahead.
And I just like how this goes on, and especially how every mistake that happens is usually his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like third episode, that's a perfect example of his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the God of Time applauds his mistake.
He starts out as lonely, and it's not the type of lonely you feel bad for.
Right.
It's the type of lonely, like, he wants to be lonely. Like, he wants to... He only cares for himself.
Yeah. It's funny because I've been reading a manga called 7 Billion Needles, which is about a girl, actually, who is very much, closed off from everyone else, and then is kind of forced to not do that. And it's handled so much better, because they actually explain why she has this trauma in her past, and she's willing to do things, but she just really doesn't like to. And it all makes sense. And I agree. I had the same problem with Future Diary. It's one of those things where I think they have a really neat idea, but they don't really line up compelling characters to fit with that. So the characters all do they all do fulfill their roles in the premise. But when I don't really care about the characters, it may be a really neat premise, but it doesn't really suck me in very much.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the animation is well directed, but pretty solid. Not particularly amazing. Visuals, nice colors, but just sort of there's not much else there that really impresses me. I'm deadly in love with the series. I think the reason for this is though I don't think they have explained the characters' backstories yet. Like, I know for the fact the frilly dressed girl, I know that she has a much deeper backstory. I know that for a fact. It has something to do with military, I think.
I think the one thing, like, sort of continuing on from that, Dan, is the one thing that's going to keep me watching is the fact that I'm a person who loves villains, and I have a feeling that the villains are going to take this show a lot longer, a long way versus the main characters.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm definitely going to keep watching it for the villains.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be
I would even call them villains. I would call them antagonists, but yeah.
True.
Yeah, they'll be opposing force. But yeah, it's a great series. 2-episode recommendation. You need to watch the first 2 episodes to really love it.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Maji de Watashi Nikoi Shinashai, excuse me, a.k.a. Majikoi O Samurai Girls, I believe it's called on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Which, this was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. It's actually, I think, with the PS2 fighting game, I believe.
Okay.
Adult dating sim.
Dating sim.
Okay.
Yeah, because it starts off with sort of simple animation and turns into this absolutely wonderfully ridiculous series. What do you guys think?
I loved it. It starts out with a big sort of Sengoku era battle scene. Basically, they're students of a school, and the school focuses on strength and battle. And so what they do is they decide different things between classes by basically putting them at war with each other. And they have to use school weapons, which are designed not to kill, but to make you hurt so much you wish you were dead. And so they do these all-out fights, and all of the characters are these warriors. The main character is more of a strategist, and it's just wonderfully awesome. The next few episodes, though, are a little more focused on characters, not as much battles. It's not as interesting as the fight scenes, but it's still something that I would definitely recommend watching, considering the characters, the plot, and the animation are all pretty solid.
With me, like, first episode, I was in love with the whole thing. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get more of this. Second episode, we got a taste of it. Of course. I don't know what they keep doing with this black girl, though. Like, they use her. It's very strange how they use her as a plot device. Not maybe a plot device, but like a comic relief device, maybe. Like, it was very strange.
Oh, that girl. That's not a black girl. That's a stereotypical sort of. Let's see, what would we be familiar with? That's a stereotypical Japanese valley girl.
Oh, Sakin.
She overly tans herself and puts on a lot of makeup.
Yeah. Ganguro, I think is the term for it. Something along those lines.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They do have
those.
those. Yeah, they do have those. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I tried to confuse those. But yeah, and then, like, third episode, it was just this whole scene where, like, oh, do you love me? Like, this, of course, there's, like, two girls who I think actually like the main character. Main character likes another girl, who doesn't like him back. I don't know, just, like, I want to see more battles. I feel like I've been baited and switched. That it's like, oh, you're going to get awesome shonen anime. Nope, you're going to get harem anime.
It's actually one thing I like about it, to be honest, is the fact that the first episode set up the fact that it was more relational. It was actually one of the things that really impressed me about that first episode was how well constructed it was to showcase the different characters and how they behave and how that main character is really more of a strategist than anyone else and how he's trying to behave. And I can certainly understand the kind of bait and switch thing, but I appreciate that it at least set up in the first episode that it wasn't just action.
Yeah.
So it does go on. So hopefully they'll bring in more action later on. We'll see.
Yeah. Again, I haven't watched the fourth episode, but the beginning that I've seen, it looks like it's just still going on with, like, oh, this girl likes this guy, and here's the reason why. I would like some action again. Is the thing. Like, third episode, there was, like, zero action. It was just harem nonsense, which is fine if it's a harem anime, but they showed all this potential for these great action scenes, and now they're not doing them, like, at all.
Yeah.
What they're starting to do is they're starting to, from the fourth episode, I think it is, what they're starting to do is they're starting to introduce more characters, and their relation with the main character, but what they're doing is they're mixing in different battle elements. Like, they're gonna start increasing the battles as the characters get introduced, is what it looks like.
Nice.
They're fairly quick so that they can focus more on characters at the moment. The battle scenes are, but I think it's going to continue on to an overarching plot and things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see.
It's definitely all right, but I just hope that they show more battles. I know that more characters are introduced. Also, I want to see more of the bandana guy. He's cool.
No arguments there. All right, moving on to